Hi, get ready with me while we talk books. Let's do Greek books. This month I have read quite a few Greek books. I think I'm coming off the high of Epic the Musical, and I'm loving it. I'm also grieving it, so I wanted to, I guess, continue that knowledge, broaden that knowledge. Now it's a little bit of everything Greek related, which is totally fine. I am just loving it. So the first book I read of this year was Circe. It is beautiful, it is heartbreaking, and it is different than Epic the Musical. So if you are looking for an exact copy of Epic the Musical, the exact story that Jorge told, that's not going to happen, and that's okay. I think that's one thing I love about mythology, is that everyone has a different story of it. You know, it's like the game of telephone. So I read Circe and I really loved that. I did read another book by Madeline Miller called The Song of Achilles, and that was, I believe, my first I guess gay book. I'm gonna find a different word for that. So I read The Song of Achilles last year, and that was one of my top reads last year. It was absolutely beautiful, and I kind of put it down and I put it away, and I didn't really think about it. After Epic came out, I was trying to chase that high, so I had gotten Circe for Christmas 2 years ago, maybe 3, and I finally dove into it at the beginning of this year, and it was heartbreaking. The stories that Madeline Miller writes are not for the faint of heart. They are not your book that you're going to read, that you're going to be giddy about. You're not going to be happy. I mean, there were parts that I was happy. I smiled. I was happy for Circe. But that's usually because she was taking some sort of revenge. So Circe was really good. Then after that, I believe I got the suggestion from a friend of mine to read Clytemnestra. Now, Clytemnestra is a good book. It's heavy. It is another heavy. Honestly, okay, let's think about this. Greek mythology is not happy. There are not many happy stories that I have come across, which is heartbreaking. But Clytemnestra is very good. I knew nothing of her tale, her story, before diving into the book. I wish I had learned ahead of time. Maybe I should have Googled, because I did sob. Not a happy book. But Clytemnestra's book was probably my favorite of the Greek stories I have read so far this year. And I guess last year as well, if I'm including The Song of Achilles. But Clytemnestra, as of right now, is probably my favorite woman in the Greek mythology. She was an absolute badass. God damn it. Sorry, shoot. Clytemnestra did not have an easy upbringing, but she did get her comeuppance. I saw many times in her story, especially towards the beginning. Clytemnestra did not have very easy to the story that is told about her. So what we know about her is her tragedies. It's Greek tragedy, the usual. She loses her husband, she loses her baby. She then has to marry Agamemnon, who we will know from Epic the Musical just in that first song. I was under the impression that Agamemnon was part of Odie's crew. He's not. He was just part of the Trojan War. If you were like me, now you know. Maybe you're smarter than I am, but I was just under that impression. I do not know the story of the Odyssey other than what Jorge has told. So this is me at 30 years old, expanding that knowledge, and that's fine. That's what books are for. So back to the story. Clytemnestra marries Agamemnon. Well, she's forced to marry Agamemnon. It's not a happy tale. She has a horrible father who is just like, well, this is just how it is. Oh, and FYI, Clytemnestra is Helen of Troy's sister, also Penelope's cousin. We learn that Clytemnestra and Helen are half siblings. The mom stepped out, and I believe, oddly enough, the king is an absolute jackass to Clytemnestra, but he's still kind of cool to Helen. Not the best dad, but you would think that if your wife stepped out on you, you would be treating that child differently than you would be treating your biological child. I don't know, but I guess I'm not a Spartan king, so there's that. So we learn about Helen and the choices that Helen made, and why she becomes Helen of Troy, why the Trojan War started. It is kind of funny that we have a war over her, but you know, such is Greek history, I suppose. Such is life, honestly. So, our story follows Helen and Clytemnestra. The main focus is Clytemnestra, but you get a little bit of Penelope, you get a little bit of Odie, you get a little bit of Jason if you're interested in the story of Jason, which I'm currently reading a book that involves Jason. But goodness. So if you are interested in Clytemnestra's tale, I would highly suggest the book. Okay, so Clytemnestra is by Constanza. I'm going to butcher it. Constanza Costi. Don't know. I will go ahead and enter a picture here of what the cover looks like. I did listen to it on Libby, and the audiobook is really good if you are interested in that. I do highly suggest Constanza. I do highly suggest Clytemnestra. It is a very good book, and I wish I'd known her story sooner. She does get her comeuppance. she does get her comeuppance when it comes to her first husband passing, as well as her child. That is a very traumatic scene. I do wish that the story had trigger warnings, but I guess when it is Greek mythology, maybe the author assumes that we know her story. I did not, and I wish I did. So that was very traumatic. I don't know if, obviously, in the Greek mythology, it is that traumatic and graphic. Knowing Greek mythology, the little bit that I do, I would say yes, it is that traumatic in the story, but in the source material. But I do, like I say, wish that we would have had a little bit of trigger warnings. So if you do decide to read, that's just a heads up. The next book that I have read is called Stone Blind, and it is the story of Medusa, or the cover as well as the little blurb about it suggests that it is about Medusa, and it is. Medusa is in the story, but you do spend a large amount of time following the gods and Perseus. You do follow Perseus, Athena, Hera, I believe Zeus. I can't quite remember. Let's just say the book was not memorable for me, and I hate to give reviews like that, but I think when you decide that your book is going to showcase Medusa and you're telling the story of Medusa, we should have more of her character in there. Stone Blind is more about how Medusa came to be and what happened to her after and how people used her. Now, that's a very important story. I just wish that it would have been advertised that way. Was it great? Yes. Would I read it again? Probably not, but that's just me. Now, for books that I'm currently reading, I am reading Atalanta. Very good story. I'm not very far into it. I will probably finish this tomorrow, maybe today. I am a fast kind of reader. I did not know her story ahead of time, so that one is exciting. Ariadne. I do know her story. I actually did read an arc about her story last year, and the book is not coming to fruition. The book is not coming to fruition. I wish it was. That's just how things go. But her story is one of my favorites. So I'm excited to see how this is going to go. These are both by Jennifer Saint. So far, I do like her writing. I believe that, so this is her third book. The first book she wrote is Elektra. Now, Elektra is the daughter of Clytemnestra, so I'm excited to see where this is going to go. Is it going to start at the beginning of her tale, or are we going to continue in her life? I am very interested in continuing Clytemnestra's story, so that's very, very exciting for me. And then Ariadne. So we do have 3 by Jennifer Saints, and then I have 2 from Claire North, and I just found out that there is a third book of these. So we have Ithaca and The Last Song of Penelope. I will be reading both of these. I hope I didn't overcommit when I borrowed these from the library. My library doesn't have fines unless you lose your book. There's no like late fees, they'll just continue it, but you know, just in case there's somebody else in my small town that is also on the Greek mythology trail, I want to make sure that I give those books back in time. So that is what I've been working on for Greek mythology. I didn't know that I was going to be taking such a dive into Greek mythology this year, especially in January. I do have books that I am interested in that are releasing this month that I won't be advertising because of the publisher that they are with, but I will be reading them. So I didn't think that I was going to be reading Greek mythology, but I got really excited after Epic and I wanted to continue learning, continue growing my knowledge. So yeah, that is my books so far for January. And yeah, thanks for sitting with me and getting ready.